Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
I'm Dr. Marvin Dunn, and I'm on my property in Rosewood, Florida, with my neighbor and friend and helper who will introduce himself. I want to talk to him about what he feels about this property.
Okay, I'm Michael Pratt, a former resident of Cedar Key, and I met Marvin back when they had the 100-year anniversary, and all the people were here. It was a really special day, and I got talking to him afterwards, and I said, you know, I live here, Marvin. If you need any help, you just let me know.
Yes, he did.
And he did. He said, hey, come on out. You come out here anytime you want. He bought a bunch of rose bushes and azaleas, and we planted them all.
We have some still going.
And there's still some going. Okay. We planted a bunch of them. And I would come out here once a week with my barrel of water. You know, water all the plants, and kept them going pretty good for quite a while. And you know, I just want to say that this is a really special place for me. I spent a lot of time here. I know pretty much every inch of this property, and I know the history thanks to Marvin. He got me started with that, and I just, you know, enjoy coming out here and helping out with a very good thing.
And one reason I want people to meet you is there are white people in this area, in Levy County, who have no problem with the history, who want to understand it and know it, and Michael's a good example of that. Everybody up here is not a Klansman, not a racist.
No.
Most folks up here don't even know what happened on this property. So Mike, thank you, my friend. Got on to plant a vegetable garden out here. Whatever
I'm ready to go.
You grow, you can plant.
I'm ready to go. Let's
Thank
do
you,
it.
my friend.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Dr. Marvin Dunn. I'm here in Rosewood, Florida, on my property. And this is my friend Janice Owens, who knows the history of this place, this area, better than anybody. So I'm going to ask her to tell you where we're standing right now here on the Dunn property in Rosewood. Where are we, Janice?
We are standing about 20 feet from the embankment of the old Florida Railroad, and we are standing to the back of us would be the edge of the Gulf Hammock. And we are right here on this edge of, this was the super highway of history through Florida, even before David Levy built the railroad in 1855. This was the way to get in and out of Florida. You were going to the deep port in Cedar Key, which was about 13 miles away, very important. And so this railroad that went up, the reason David Levy put it crossways across Florida, he needed to connect Fernandina and the ports up there with the coast of Florida, but the St. Johns River couldn't build across it. So he had to come down kind of sideways, and that's how he ended up here in Cedar Key. And so this is just a glimpse of what the, usually there's standing water, and the swamp is right behind us.
Let's stop with that.
All right, ready to go again.
Janice Owens, who's an expert on this history in this area. We're here at the Dunn property in Rosewood, and we're standing in front of a witness tree. Janice is going to tell you all what a witness tree is.
Now, we love our witness trees. We love our live oaks in Florida. And this is a live oak that from the girth, and it would be probably 200-300 years old. You'd have to do a boring to find out. But it is a old tree that's been here. It was here when, at this age, it was here when definitely when the enslaved laborers that David Yulee brought in to build the Florida Railroad.
This tree was here.
This tree. They rested under this tree. Some of them may have while they were, because it was hard work. That railroad wasn't raised by nature. It was raised by human labor.
Black human labor.
Yes, sir. From I understand, possibly North Carolina, brought in by Yulee. But the laborers, and even before that railroad was built, this was a military trail. That the fort at Cedar Key, and there were forts at Fort Drake, forts all around here when the Seminole were here, and during the Indian Wars. And so that road would have had soldiers going back and forth on their horses, and this tree would have also been here. And even before that, the reason the soldiers used this little road was because it was an Indian trail. And the Florida Indians in this area go back to Paleo Indians.
Okay.
And so it was used by them. And the spring that is behind us that was also used by all of them. So
Let's stop right there. I'm Dr. Marvin Dunn. I'm here on our property in Rosewood, Florida, 5 acres of land that I purchased some years ago. And Janice Owens is an expert on the history of this area. And she knows what was on this property long before I purchased it. So what was here, Janice? Particularly tell us about the hotel that was here.
this property was on the Florida Railroad, and in about the 1880s, 1875, when the railroad was had been rebuilt, it had been torn up during the Civil War, and it was running again. Northern interest decided in Florida all over. They built hotels for rehabilitation, people who were wealthy Northerners who had illnesses that the cold aggravated. They would be, lured to Florida, and it was so warm here, and it was so beautiful, and you had mineral springs, you had springs, and you could come here and sit on the, in a chair on the porch and recuperate. So at that time, the Ford Hotel, and it was not like a hotel like we think of it, it was more like a Queen Anne house. They had Williston, Cedar Key, Gulf Hammock. There were several around, and the information we have about the Ford Hotel, it was built so close. The Staples was built so close to this railroad track that spark in 1876 caught it on fire, and the stable burned. But the hotel itself, which was in this area by the spring, it continued even after the fad of the hotel about being for your health. It passed away. It was also, by then, they were cutting the lumber around here, which was big money. Cutting the cedar for the pencil factory, cutting the wood. And there were also just people coming in to hunt. You would come from up north, you'd have a local guide who'd take you out in the swamp, out in the hammock, the Gulf Hammock, which is huge, and you would hunt. So the hotel stayed in business until after the Cedar closed. Well, then a family that we know from the record, the Bradley family, bought it, and it was a house. And in the records, if you read the oral history records in Tallahassee in the archives of the children who had memories, they would say, oh, the Bradleys lived in a mansion. They lived in a big mansion.
Let's talk about the Bradleys.
Yes.
That's important. Was the man who broke the Rosewood story. That's how Rosewood became known. The Bradley family ran the sugar mill in Rosewood. And Janice is quite right. They were well-to-do. But Ed Bradley, CBS News, did a program on Rosewood. And that's why we're standing here today.
Yes.
Thank you, Janice. We got to keep you short. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Right.
can I ask one more thing? How did you guys connect? Because I got to get that story.
Oh.
We got to make it quick.
All right, got to be
But
quick.
we gotta be quick.
I'll introduce. Okay. I'm Marvin Dunn. I'm here in Rosewood on my property with Janice Owens, an expert on the history of this area, who's going to tell you all how we met.
Well, I'd written a novel. I'd studied lynching since I was at the University of Florida, and way back in 1980. And time went along. I wrote a novel that had to do with such thing. I was waiting for the novel to come out. Came out with Scribner, and my daughter called, and just like scrolling through YouTube, she saw a video of a man who said he had a photograph of a lynching in Newberry, and I live in Newberry. And I said, would never happen. There's no such picture. And she said, well, watch the video. So I watched the video and said, who is this man? And you can see the picture in the video, and I became obsessed with wanting to get in touch with a man named Marvin Dunn, who I didn't know where he lived. I called every Marvin Dunn one on Facebook, and finally called a man in Miami and said, do you have a picture? I think that's the way I introduced myself. Do you have a picture of a lynching in Newberry, Florida? And he said, yes, I do. And I said, can I see it? I think I could identify people. And he said, yes, you can. And I didn't realize he had to drive, from Miami to my house in Newberry. But the next morning, there he was. And he showed me the photograph. And I looked at it and I said, yeah, I know these people, particularly some of the Dudley brothers, and it was a moment of. And at first,
Tell them what you had to do. Tell-
I just said I was not prepared for it. I mean, I went in, said, I need to use the restroom. And I went in the restroom and was looking in the mirror thinking, there were so many other things in life then, I was thinking that we need to address. And I knew this would be, so I prayed about it and I did think the golden rule applied because I love my family, my extended family, Mariana. And if I met somebody that said, I have a picture and I know what happened to your grandmother, this woman in that photograph, and here she is laying dead in the dirt with these men standing around her smiling. And if somebody could tell me what that picture was about in the story, yeah, I would pay $1 million. So I went out and said, yeah, I know some people. And I said, you're going to have to research. And you did. You did the research.
And that's how we met, over that photograph.
Awesome.
Thank you, Janice. I'm Dr. Marvin Dunn. I'm here in Rosewood, Florida, on our property, 5 acres of land. And a close by town is the town of Archer. And this is a resident of Archer, and also of Pineville. What's your name?
My name is December McSherry, and my husband and I have lived in Pinesville for over 50 years, and we bought property that was once owned by David Yulee, and we've been interested in the history for that long.
And Yulee was the man who did what? Who's David Yulee?
David Yulee built the railroad. No, he didn't build it. The slaves built the railroad from Fernandina Beach to Cedar Peak to load cedar trees, send them up to the mills and carry them out
To where they live and own the property there.
It's the river where they built New York City.
And what about the history of Pineville? Were there racial problems there?
There was the convict lease system that the sheriff of Alachua County would get $30 per head of any black man that was not employed at the time and put him into the swamps and do a part of the longleaf pine turpentine industry. And it was all free labor. And the forest went all the way up into Putnam County, up into the Panhandle.
So turpentine was
Turpentine was
an industry right around here where
It's
we
a
are.
huge industry. Oh, what? Yeah, the Cummer Lumber Company came
You see
in.
the 2 miles from
Right, right. And that lasted for until 1923, and then William Marchant bought the property, and then he built these sawmills and had quarters of the leftover laborers to cut the lumber down.
So the quarters are black and white quarters, just living in different quarters.
Yeah, everything was segregated at least until 1980.
And one last question. Why are you here today?
I am here today to meet Marvin Dunn.
That's not the right answer.
No, because I've always been curious about Rosewood, and the descendants of Rosewood came into Archer and have hidden in the backwoods where I live, and have always feared talking about what happened. And Marvin and Sherry G.B.R. have brought it out, and I'm really proud, and we want the University of Florida to keep this documented in the K. Young Library.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, Major.
All right.
All right.
Thank
How are
you
you?
so much. That was really.
How are you, man? Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming over here.
Oh, yeah. Can you take a picture?
All day. No, look, what do you want? Not much will happen for the next hour or so, then it's not when you have to do it.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. I was out here about
2 minutes away, right?
A little, about 3 or 4 minutes away. Are they 2 minutes away?
No. I didn't speak with them. I'm just talking.
Yeah. We're within 5 minutes of us.
I have to love how you want me to love.
Christ said you were to love. Listen, I think Christ meant it. Good morning. Yeah.
How you want to do this? Well,
Yeah.
don't worry. Go ahead. I got you.
Subaru is one of the best. Very dependable. Never break down, and just where they're mostly seen.
The bus has to wait through way down. Way down. This is my son right here. This is very, Harley Wilkerson was one of the two white men. You gotta move that bus. There were two white men who died during the Rosewood Massacre of 1923. Harley Wilkerson was one of them. Harley Wilkerson, as my brother Ray explained, was the quarters boss at the summer sawmill. Quarters, white quarters, black quarters. He was in charge of the black quarters. So the black workers worked for him. As I think Ray explained to you, he was a pretty stern guy. If you didn't move fast enough, he'd kick you. We called him Boots. Well, Boots was one of the white men who approached the Carrier house during this massacre. The Carrier family was the leading black family here. Sylvester Carrier, the black hero of Rosewood, lived in, well, it was his mother's house. But when this mess started, Sylvester got his family and went to his mother's house, Sarah Carrier's house. And Sylvester Carrier became the black hero of this area. Anyway, of this event. Harley Wilkerson and the mob surrounds the Carrier home, demanding that Sylvester come out. Sarah Carrier, his mother, who owned the house, goes to the window. It's a very fine house, too. Two-story home. Sarah goes to the window and she lets the window up. In those days, people used a stick to hold the window up. And maybe people outside thought she had a rifle. They shot her dead. So she falls dead on the floor in front of her son. Now up comes Polly and another white man onto the porch. Sylvester, who was a World War I veteran, knew how to use a rifle. He was a hunter, an independent man, protected his family, was sitting in the living room with his rifle. And after Polly comes up onto the porch and the other man, Andrews, he shot them both after they killed his mom. So that was the extent of black violence in Rosewood. Sylvester Carrier shot two white men who had killed his mom. Now when they tell the story, when the state of Florida insists that the Rosewood story, excuse me. When the state of Florida insists that we tell the Rosewood story, as they do, they require that we teach it as equal violence. Violence on both sides. Sylvester shot 2 men trying to kill his mama. And these white folks killed, we don't know how many people they killed out here. And Polly Wilkinson, when he died, when he was killed, they had a funeral for him that Sunday. This mess started on a Thursday. About that Sunday, they were burying people. And they buried Polly right here. I've been coming here for years. Now you see these shells? That's how they mark graves. Polly's grave was marked with clamshells right here when I first started coming here. We found the right place. Right here. And it was covered like all these other graves with clamshells. And I come out here one year and the clamshells are gone. And there's no way of knowing where Polly was buried. I think that was done on purpose. Why? To stop happening what we're doing right now. Coming out here looking at standing with the Pollys. But Polly Wilkinson was buried right here in Sunday. Keep in mind that Sunday they buried him. Andrews, the other white man, was buried. He was from Georgia someplace. The reason I first started coming here was not for Polly Wilkinson, but for J.W. Wright and his wife, who are buried over here. So what we're going to do now is walk over to their graves without stepping on graves, and we're going to assemble over at the Wright grave.
One of you gentlemen hold the big with these ladies, please?
Yeah, I got it. Be shy.
Come on, folks, we're waiting on you. Thank you. Just a little closer, if you don't mind. I want to talk quite as loud. Thank you. One of the problems with the history of Rosewood has been we have talked very little about the white people who did the right thing at that time. J.W. Wright and his wife, Mary Wright, were the white heroes of Rosewood. When Rosewood got burned down by that mob in 1923, every home was destroyed except J.W. Wright house. Mr. Wright ran the general store in Rosewood. By that time, Rosewood was all black. The white folks had moved away. So his family was the only white folks living in Rosewood, and they ran the general store. And when the attack happened, people ran out into the woods, babies, half clothes, and it was cold. This is January. It was very, very cold. J.W. Wright and Mrs. Wright took people into their home, upstairs in their bedroom to let people hide and stay at night. The daytime, they had to get out of the house. The mob might stop them. But at night, they would bring them in, let them go upstairs. Miss Wright would cook a big pot of grits or cornbread or greens and feed the people. Daytime, back outside. The children were allowed to hide in the well on the property during the daytime. And they came in at night as well. The Wrights took only women in and children, no boys over 13. And they saved a lot of lives doing that. The Rosewood movie, if you've seen it, opens with a lie about Mr. Wright. That movie opens with the scene of Mr. Wright raping a black child in a store. Never happened. But it made the movie sensational in its opening. But Mr. Wright didn't rape anybody. The black community respected him. After this whole mess was over, they were ostracized by the white community. They died in obscurity. because white folks knew that they saved people, and that's how they were treated. Now the J.W. Wright property, but that house still standing. You'll see it on your way out. House still stands, privately owned now. That 36 acres where that house stands abuts my property. The railroad track that you're going to walk down separates my property and the J.W. Wright property. So I got my 5 acres. I'm going to get those 36 acres too and make a real park.
What about a mule?
I'm trying to give a serious lesson. What about the mule?
Don't say that. There you go.
But anyway, you know, and on our tour, we give a moment of silence at graves. And we're going to do the same thing to the white heroes of Rosewood. So, where's my timekeeper? 1 minute of silence for the Wrights.
Time.
Thank you. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Some years ago, I was out here, as I come out often. I was meeting a photographer out here for some reason, and he was late. And I never went past these graves here. But since I had time that morning, I started wandering through the graveyard. Now, y'all stay put, because too many of you to do what I did. But I'll try to explain to you what I found. So, I start walking back this way, just looking, and I see starting right here. Grave, no name. Grave, all in here. Some of them have, yeah, you photographers come in, you guys stay put for a moment, thank you. Some of them have unknown child, all out of here. So I thought, uh-oh. This is where the black victims of Rosewood, the black folks they killed in Rosewood in this cemetery. And I found them out here, these unmarked graves. But then there were not that many black people killed for as many of these graves you see when you walk through the graveyard carefully. So I'm thinking, these aren't Rosewood victims. There's too many of them out here. Turns out, these unmarked graves you're going to see when you walk through carefully are the graves of the white folks who were killed during the 1918 pandemic. That pandemic hit and killed thousands of people, including out here in Rosewood, black and white. These are the graves of the white victims of that pandemic. So I start wondering, okay, well then, where's the black victims? Remember, Rosewood had some that stormed down, had white quarters and black quarters. There were more black workers at the sawmill than white. So the white folks are here, where are the black folks? So I walked back to the back of the cemetery, as we're going to do in a minute. Because those of you who are old enough to know how things were in the South, they often buried black people behind the white people, right? In the cemetery. So there's that fence back there. So I'll go back there, and I'll start walking behind the fence. And I'll show you what I found. Come in carefully, don't step on the graves, please. Come this way. I need you to be over on this way. Yes, you are. I want you guys to assemble right along here. Okay, those in the back, come on up, please. Come on up. let's wait for folks to get here. Don't rush.
I got the brush.
The thing that says Hero of Rosewood, who did that? Done by the family or by someone else?
Some black descendants did it, a white historian did it, and a couple of white groups. You guys stay here. Wait till everybody's assembled.
No.
Okay, come right here, please. And
Ray, I'm going to go on the other side. Get them assembled here, and I'm going to get set up back here. Okay.
why is he doing that, somebody?
Get rid of mosquitoes.
No, that rattlesnake's out there. Hold on a minute, Marvin. Listen up, everybody. Speak a little louder, bro.
All right, so I come back here because I know Southern history. I know how cemeteries work back in the South. Behind this fence. And I find mounds. Here's one. See this? There are two more right here. And several back there. So when I discovered this, I put this marker so I know I can find it. I called the Levy County Sheriff's Office. And they came out here the next day to meet me, two deputies. I get out here, they were already here, and they said, we found three more back there. I said, okay, so what can we do about that? They said, nothing. This is a cemetery that people buried back here. He said, unless there are exposed body parts, the county can't get involved. So we can't do anything. Call the state. I called the state, and they said, well, that's a private cemetery owned by the Shallow Cemetery Association. The state has nothing to do with that property. We can't help you. The only thing the state guarantees is that if you have relatives buried wherever, even on private property, you have a right to go to their graves. That's state law. But not to just come into a cemetery because you just want to. It's private property. So anyway, they said, and talked to the owners of the cemetery. So I called them, and they agreed to meet me. I drove up from Miami to meet the owner of the cemetery to get permission to be able to do exploring back here. So I get here, my son drove me up, and the cemetery owners are here, two people. I think a person from the Historical Society was here, all right, and two Levy County deputies. So I said, okay, I want to show y'all what I said. You can't go back there, Dr. Dunn. I said, I drove all the way from Miami to show y'all. No, there's nothing back there to see. I said, but I found mounds, probably just debris. Don't go back there again, or you're going to be charged with trespassing. That's why these deputies are here, to make sure, to document you've been warned not to go back there again. Nothing to see. I think what happened, this is pure conjecture, is that when the pandemic hit, they buried the black people back here in mass graves in these mounds. These folks had individual graves. These black folks had maybe 10, 12 people in the hole, all throughout this area. But Shallow does not want that known. That is such a blatant example of racial discrimination. All right? So that's why you're all on that side of the fence. I'm over here. If anybody gets arrested, it's going to be me. But I don't really give a damn. We need to find out what's back here.
Absolutely.
So I'm hoping some, I brought university students out here, several groups. I've told them what I know about this. I'm hoping that one of those young students will say, okay, I'll make some good trouble. I'm going to find out what Dr. Dunn says back there. That's going to happen. There's no way that this is going to be kept secret.
Silence.
Yeah, it will come to be known. So what we're going to do now, go back to the cemetery, to the bus, and we'll go over to my property in Rosewood. Don't take questions here before.
Hold on, but is it still the one that's the baby's grave?
There's a child's grave down here.
Show them where that one is.
Come down this way. It's been so overgrown by now, I hope I can still find it. Right here, it is, right here. It's right here. Come on down. You see these shelves here? Now this is like 10 years ago when I found this. Come on down so everybody can see. This is a baby's grave. Most of the shells have, for whatever reason, have been scattered somewhat. But it's a raised mound, slightly raised, and it has these shells on it. It's a baby. So, y'all keep coming.
Okay, guys, let's get
Okay,
we're
back to
gonna
the bus.
Be careful about walking back to the bus. Okay, we're not gonna step on grave sites. That's the biggest thing that we're gonna try to do.
Seriously, that's what the law is saying.
For good art.
Always seems people that don't care, they don't care. I'm looking at, we're here, where we just passed a few minutes ago. I saw some white folk out there playing, and I saw the woman talking.
It's going to be quite a race. And the guy she's running against in the primary is really good too. So yeah, I think she's going to win.
There you go, yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, gorgeous.
Right this way. Nice. Everyone.
Oh, that's your call. No, no.
You good? Thank you.
Wait.
Oh, that was history books.
Wait.
They say wait.
Okie dokie.
Let's go to Rosewood.
Just us.
Back.
On in.
Getting nice out.
So I'd say keep it parked down on this end as far as we can away from that. So that's enterprise.
So you say park over there, right?
In it, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's
okay.
where I was.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Oh, yeah, that's away from everything.
Got the bonfire going. You have the pig cooking.
I don't want to put my ugly face in your movie.
You're good. You're good.
Fiberglass.
Uh-oh, this is hot. Did we already small?
Yeah, there was only like
There was only two of them. Well, they're made for...
No.
Stop it.
I cannot.
Hello.
Good morning.
All right, how you doing?
Good morning. Okay, so I am definitely afraid of dogs. I am definitely afraid of dogs. But I'll just take your name.
No, this is Randy. I already checked.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
How much of this? How much?
Huh?
How much of it?
25.
Are you with the upper?
I'm with the railroad.
If you're with the
Don't do it, Buffy. Just go after.
very curious about everything. Yes. Look at all the snow. Yeah. Very exciting.
Boy, does it get cold up there in the wintertime.
What, UP or
Benji, come here.
tell me what's your name? Yeah, Queen Lizzie. Queen Lizzie.
Because he
book. This is my aunt again, the Rosewood school teacher, and this is she and her husband. Okay, and these are some books I did before Rosewood that I love dearly, because it's the first book in Alachua County, Gainesville, Florida, that was put on the bookshelves. And it tells Black history. This is the school I attended. My parents are on the back of here. It was an all-Black school, okay, and Archer Negro Public High School. And this is a book I did a couple of years ago, Liz's Rosewood Races. Race. And it talks about Rosewood, and it has pictures of my information. This is the school teacher again, and her husband. Okay.
Hey, Meta, take a picture.
Okay. And he was accused of, he was the guy accused of raping Fannie Taylor. And they almost beat him to death. As I said, the sheriff was awesome. And the sheriff appeared, and the KKK were just beating him. He was bleeding, almost dead. And the sheriff drove up and said, "Stop it." They would not stop. And the gang said, "Well, he's almost dead. Let's finish the MF off." The sheriff said, "No, put that black MF in my car, and I'll finish him off." And they were happy. They threw Aaron in the car. The sheriff took Aaron to Alachua County Jail in Gainesville, Florida, and said to the sheriff there, "You better keep him, and you better not tell anybody he is in this jail." For 6 months, the other sheriff, which was a friend to the Levy County sheriff, protected him for 6 months. Okay, so had it not been for the sheriff and the behind-the-scenes unsung heroes, okay.
And they look pretty young too. Like they look like in their 20s.
No. This was taken after the massacre, and about 40-ish. Okay. I'm guessing. My mother didn't know when, but I'm guessing in the 40s. Mm-hmm.
I'll take a picture. Hey, Meta, take a picture.
And my books can be found on Amazon. Mm-hmm.
1953. And you say your parents or something?
This is my... Oh, sorry. This is my father. And this is my mother. My mother here is white. And everybody else are family. You know, Archer was very small.
Wow.
And this school was built by Rosenball. You know Rosenball? He was an entrepreneur, and he helped build Black schools. And the identity mark are the windows. And the person who did this book for me, I shared with them that I attended the school in Archer, which was dedicated and built by Rosie. I would like to show, but anyway, he has a picture of it being put in that cup right there. There we go. These are the windows, okay?
They met a big picture.
And see, it says Rolling Wall School. So he did it. I didn't tell them, but they can purchase books. Did I say that? I think I did.
Did you?
I said it.
Can I ask a huge favor, sir? If you're finished, can you please lend me a hand in moving that bench? Right there, the green bench.
Now,
Excuse us.
About loss.
Okay.
Okay. And he do all of our stuff that others don't report.
Okay.
The news that they neglect from us, he covers it all.
Oh, okay.
The George Boston Rangers.
with the
Okay,
Get
nice
to
to meet
with the
you.
Get to Free Press.
Okay.
Okay, what's your name? I see a lot of literature here, and I think you have a lot of history. Can you share your name and contact if people want to purchase books? And just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Lizzie Robinson Jenkins. I am the niece of the Rosewood school teacher. I have a foundation, the Real Rosewood Foundation. I have a podcast, Queen Lizzie Podcast, weekly. Go follow me, like it. And my Facebook page, the one I frequent, is Lizzie Robinson Jenkins. Send a friend request and we'll stay in touch. I can also, or if you want to purchase my books are on Amazon.com anytime. My phone number is, I don't have a problem giving my phone number, 352-214-6003. Call me anytime, 24/7. I have been doing this for 42 years.
Give me that phone number once again, slowly.
352-214-6003.
Thank you. And you've been doing this
42 years, okay? The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, okay? And when I say the truth, it is authenticated, my work, okay? Yes.
Tell me briefly, not that much, but tell me briefly about what we're looking at here.
We're looking at, this is my uncle who was the husband to the Rosewood school teacher, okay? They both survived. She was gang raped, okay? The sheriff rescued her. He was almost beaten to death, and the Levy County Sheriff rescued him. Had it not been for the Levy County Sheriff, many or all of them would have perished because Cedar Key is a peninsula, one way in, one way out, and the only way they could escape was by train from Cedar Key, okay, that we negotiated by the sheriff to please, I need you all to help me get these people out. So I'm going to sing a story when I do a story song my mother wrote that tells the entire story of Rosewood. Make sure you record it and post it. You have my permission.
How long have you been committed to
42 years.
To the story of Rosewood.
To the story of Rosewood. In fact, I was the first person, the movie in 1993, a movie company, multimedia, flew in from California, okay, to get my information, to get my artifacts and my story. They wanted to do a movie, and they said, here is a check for $7,000. And my mom said that when my hair turns black, I will sell you our information. So what they did, they got with John Singleton and what's that boy's name? Arnett Doctor. And they had gotten my information, no contract I signed, because I trust people and my mom too. So they did what they wanted to do, wrote the movie. However, I was very upset. My mom said the best thing that happened from that movie, it let people know it happened, okay? And it let people know that white women lie on black men. And she said this in a movie filled with white people, and they were, and she said, yes, this was in 97, they asked her to be the speaker. She said, yes, not only did they do it back in 1923, she says 1997, and they're still lying on our black men. And a movie theater, complete silence. She was ready. She was so sassy. And she was 95, but talked plenty noise like this young lady does.
Let me say this. I noticed that.
We know where to. Okay.
I noticed that when you spoke of the Caucasian sheriff in Levy County. So everybody was not bad, everybody was not racist, and we have to tell both sides of the story. Will you agree?
Of course, and that's who is behind my foundation. I told you Steve Spurrier, the coach. The guy who named my podcast Queen Lizzie is white. 4 of the best known white people in Gainesville, Alachua County got my back. And they allow me to bring on politicians and talk with them about their policies. Tomorrow at Steve Spurrier, I'm interviewing David Jolly. Don't know if you know David Jolly. He is running for governor for the Democratic Party. He is in town now. He wanted to come out here today, but he didn't have the time. But anyway, I have him on my podcast tomorrow. Y'all can follow my podcast, Queen Lizzie. It's on 37 platforms. YouTube has it, or either go to my podcast, Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, and follow it.
Okay, thank you, and I'm going to close this out. Once again, I'm George Boston Ryan with the Get To Free Press in Valdosta, Georgia. My theme is we report what others ignore. And I don't want to ignore the fact, I want you to pick up the books that you printed, wrote, and hold those up for me.
And hold them up?
Yes, hold them up for me.
I've written several, I'll just hold two.
Thank you. No, I like to, each one, there we go, okay. Yeah. Short form, why did you write this one?
I needed to tell the story during my childhood of the disrespect, of the boycotts that I received. My dad worked for a sharecropper, I had a sharecropper, and he would cuss my dad from A to Z every day, every time he saw him. And I love working in the farm with my dad. I didn't like doing housework. So one day he came out to the field and Dad saw him coming and told me, okay, I want you to just lay down and don't say anything. But when he got out the door, he got out cussing my dad. I raised to the occasion. I put an everlasting down home cussing on him. Okay. And Dad was so upset because back then they were killing black men if they had a lot of property. My dad owned lots of property. And I said, but Dad, you're not any of those things he called you. Okay, but he was still scared. But my mom was not scared. My mom carried a 38 in her bra and a switchblade in her pocket. She didn't play. Okay, and when I say she didn't play, she took care of her 4 children over there and her husband. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you very much. And one final story, because I see something under your hat. Look like some Greek or German or Spanish or Greek Creole. Or what are those? Explain those acronyms to me.
Zeta Phi Beta Sorority. I'm a life member, 50-year life member of this great sorority. And I'd like to say to the other people who are members of the sorority, I respect everybody. That's right. Because all of us are out here working hard, doing the same thing, trying to save history. And please do not, and I don't know if anybody out here knows our governor, he will not, and I hope he hears it, you will not ban our books. You will not erase our history. We lived it. It's our history, okay? And we will not allow that. And that's why I can't endorse him, but I am semi-reporting David Jolly because I'm trying to build a museum. And he said, you shouldn't be out here hustling money. We got federal money. Hi, Kimberly! Oh,
okay,
please put Kimberly on this picture with me.
Oh, okay. You spoke well, but I also want to know, because I'm going back to these letters here. So I can go and buy them alphabets and wear that too. I mean, what do I have to do? Are they free? I mean, do you get them by just walking?
You have to be a member of a sorority.
Well, how you get to be a member of a sorority? You just be good in school, or?
No, in your town. Where do you live? Miami. You already know.
I live in Valdosta, Georgia.
You're giving me a hard time.
No, I really would like for you to let some people know. I want to know what you have to go to school. You got to.
You have to have a college degree.
Got to have a college. You just don't put that on. That's what I'm saying.
You just don't put it on.
Yeah, and you got to be. Wow, what you say? Tell me again. Wait, say it again.
Be a woman.
Very important.
Or 50%.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't want to take up all the time. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I will get on your podcast, and I'll get a book while I leave. Peace.
Okay.
Are you Miss Jenkins?
Yes, I am.
I'm Francis Randall. We had that long conversation Sunday night, a couple of Sundays. No. You did not give me hell. You did not give me hell. You did not. We were good.
She had like 6 teachers. 6 she had done a whole bunch of stuff.
We have a large anticipated folks coming in, so let's just carry them and we'll stop for a minute.
So as Dr. Wayne Time told, I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about a few things I studied about Florida and our racial history that might be interesting to you. Florida has, let me put it this way. If you lived in Florida during the lynching era, which was right after the Civil War, after the Civil War, if you lived in Florida during that time, your chances of being lynched were greater than if you lived in Mississippi. If you lived in Florida during the lynching era, your chances of being lynched were greater than if you lived in Georgia or Alabama. Why was that? Why does Florida have such a high level of lynching compared to other states, even southern states? What happened here? A couple things. Florida was settled late compared to the other southern states. So Florida was without law, without government for decades. 1845, when Florida became a state, there was no law. Every now and then, the judge would ride through, circuit judge, but if you killed somebody, it could be 2 months before the circuit judge came back to your county. So lynching was an easy way to get rid of folks who needed to die right then. And they lynched white and black people, mostly black. But if you're a white man and you got stealing cattle, they lynch you. I thought it wait time for the judge to come back around in another month or so to find. Same thing with a black person who committed a racial violence, a racial crime. No reason to wait for the judge. Hang the nigger. Another reason, Florida was a wilderness. That was a problem, late settlement. Then who came to Florida when Florida became a state? Confederates. Former folks had fought in the Civil War. Florida had been untouched by the war. Other southern states had been ravaged by the Civil War. Not much happened down here. One thing that did happen down here was the Battle of Cedar Key in 1864. Happened right here. Now there are folks in this audience who know more about that than I do. But here's what I think is important about the Battle of Cedar Key. 1860, late in the war, the Union tried to take Cedar Key, very valuable port, deep water port out there. You can ship stuff anywhere in the world from Cedar Key. So that was a very important strategic location, and the Confederates had it. The Union troops from Gainesville marched down that railroad track to get to Cedar Key to take it back from the Confederates. And who led that march along that railroad track? The 5th Massachusetts 54th Colored Infantry led that battle. If you've never heard of them, you need to Google it. Massachusetts, the 54th, marched down that railroad track to Cedar Key for that battle. The other white soldiers too, but black men were on this railroad track during the Civil War, trying to defend liberty. So Florida has a terrible history of lynching. And let me explain something. The folks on the tour know this, but those of you who are just joining us, I want to repeat something that we shared yesterday with the folks on the tour. What is the difference between a lynching and a common murder? What is the difference between a lynching and a common murder? 3 things. One, the killing has, this is the side of Tuskegee back in the 1930s. The folks met at Tuskegee, NAACP, and others to come to some agreement about what a lynching was. At that time, if you got the white folks cut off your arm or cut your leg, that's a lynching. So this group met and decided 3 things. One, there had to be a dead body, not a mutilated, not a loss of arm or leg. You have to be dead for it to have been a lynching. Second, the killing must have taken place extra legally, outside of the law. Third, it must be done by 3 or more people. 3 or more people, that's another one. And then fourth, the motive must be vengeance, honor, or race. That makes a killing a lynching. Now, lynching had nothing to do with the rope. People tend to think lynching, most folks who were lynched were shot to death, or beaten, not hung. One reason for that was that lynchers back in that day didn't know how to tie a hangman's knot. If you just put a rope around somebody's neck and hung them, they could hang for hours before they finally died. With a properly constructed hangman's knot, when you dropped, your neck was broken. But not a lot of people knew how to do that. So they would kill people by more easily available means. There were some white men in Florida who were lynched. Many, many more black than white, but there were some white men. I saw a photograph of 5 white men who were lynched in Florida. I'm not sure where it was taken. But I'll tell you something about the lynching of white men. I never saw a photograph of a white victim of a lynching who had been castrated. That was reserved for black men and boys. They lynched white men, but they didn't mutilate them like that. One way that they got, I'm sorry?
After they were dead, they mutilated them?
Yes, it was common when a person was lynched for the family of the aggrieved to collect a souvenir, usually a finger or a toe. Something like that was very common. Because of the problem of trying to kill people with a rope, one method that was sort of improvised was they would go out into the woods and they would find a sapling tree, a young tree. And then they have a boy, a young person, go up to the top of that tree with a rope. He would tie the end of the rope to the top of the tree and drop it to the ground. Then men on the ground would bend that tree over. All right? And they would put a rope around the neck of the victim. And then 1, 2, 3, let go. And the person would be flung up into the treetops, hopefully with his neck broken. Otherwise, he'd hang there until the buzzards finished him off. Most folks believe that most lynchings were caused by black men who assaulted white women. That's not true. There were men lynched for that reason, but that was not the main reason that black men got lynched. The thing that would get you lynched before anything else was to kill a white police officer. Then you're gonna die. That was a leading reason for being lynched. And there were instances in Florida where black men killed white officers. Where's Newberry? Newberry's here today, but yeah, the Newberry story, which I won't mutilate today. But Newberry is just a few miles from here. And the largest known lynching in Florida history took place in Newberry in 1916. They lynched at least 6 people at one time. We think 5 of them on the same tree. That tree still stands. I took the tour to that tree yesterday, the Newberry lynching tree. What happened in 1916? We got time. Anybody from Newberry want to help me with this? Come up and, Janice, where are you? Come on. Come on. You can't hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Julian, where's Julian? Turn the volume up some. Is that better? Yes? No more? Testing, 1, 2, testing. Now they can hear? Okay. This is Janice Owens. This is my friend. I wanted to tell the Newberry story. That's not on the program, but she knows it so well. So take a few minutes and tell that story. But before you do, yeah, let me go a little further over here to help. Let's stand over here, Janice. Don't make me, don't let me embarrass you, but Janice Owens is a cracker. Yes, she is. Where's Wendell? He's a cracker too.
And y'all
need to learn something about cracker culture. I grew up thinking crackers were the ones that lynched us. Crackers were the ones that eat crackers. She's a cracker. She was my best friends. And I wanted to tell you all what cracker means to her and to the culture. And also to make the point that everybody, every white person, even most white people in the South, were not Klans members, were not lynchers. Okay. So Janice Owens, would you please introduce yourself and tell the Newberry story in 5 minutes?
Okay, I want to tell you the Newberry story. I live in Newberry, and when I moved there, I'd heard, I grew up in Marianna, Florida, where the horrible Claude Neal lynching took place. So I knew about the phenomena. But when I was in Newberry, you would hear a whispered account of the murder of 6 people, and that was it. One of the people were pregnant, but nobody would speak of it openly. It was locked down. And I worked in history. I was part of the Dudley Farm, early days of it being turned into a state park. So there came a time where a lady named Tricia Hilliard Dunn, who was a professor at the University of Florida, was doing research, and she kept hearing about the lynching, so she started writing about it. Well, I was traveling a lot with my job, and I didn't know all the research they were doing. And then I came back to Florida, and I became curious because a lot of the names were similar, and because Dr. Dunn had found a photograph that he didn't know where the ID of the photograph. And I found Dr. Dunn, and when he showed me the photograph, I absolutely knew some of the people in the state park verified that they were part of the Dudley family. So I decided to write about it, and what had happened in 1916. There were a lot of connections between Levy County and Newberry at that time, a lot of family connections. And in Newberry, right there at the beginning, just before the First World War began, pigs became valuable because the phosphate mines had closed and pigs became a cash crop. And so people were suddenly more conscious of, they ran wild. We didn't have fencing laws, but they had notches and on their ears, and there was, people started accusing other people of livestock. And in the South at that time, I've read quotes where stealing people's livestock was a more egregious accusation than murder, because murder was stealing people's livestock was immediately their cows or their pigs. So a family there was accused of an intermarried family. Several families who were intermarried had property, and they were affiliated with Methodist Church in Jonesville, outside of Newberry, and they were accused of, rumors began that they were stealing hogs. And a deputy went to, in the middle of the night, it really didn't serve a warrant. He just went to talk, and he had 2 other men with him. And there was a shootout, and one of the men, the black man, Buzzy Long, shot the deputy, and the deputy was mortally wounded. Buzzy Long ran. He was shot in the back as well. And so he ran, and the friends of the deputy were so outraged. They didn't want him to run. They didn't want him to get away. So basically what they did was they went and gathered up his family, his sister-in-law, his wife, and one of them was pregnant, heavily pregnant. One of them had a babe in arms. And they outright shot his cousin and his best friend who lived next door, shot him in front of his children and wife and children. This was so close that when Tricia was doing her research, Tricia Hilliard Dunn, when she was doing her research, there were still people alive who'd been children and saw this happen. They saw their father get shot, heard it, and they were so traumatized they couldn't talk about it. They would shake, and it was really difficult for them to talk about it. And after Jim Dennis was the first man who was shot in front of his family, his brother goes from Archer to buy a coffin for him, and they pulled him off a wagon because he's related. Just being related to the Dennis or the McHenry families was enough for you to be arrested. They were thrown in the county jail, and these women and men were held for 11 hours and were tortured. They said they were abused, and there's no telling how bad that torture and abuse was. And when they could not, because actually Buzzy Long, when he was captured, said, "I just ran. I didn't get anybody to help me. I ran." He ran to his uncle's house. But in any case, and they held him in the jail, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, they loaded him up
and took them to Lynch Hammock, which was a public picnic place where they had outside. There's a new Publix in Newberry. That's right across the street from Lynch Hammock. That's the area that was Lynch Hammock, and oak trees. And they had the men get on horses first and slap the horses, and then the women. So the women had to see their brothers get killed before they were killed. And a lady within the last couple of years told me a story that when she was a little girl, a man who had been a child in 1916 said that they knew something was going on out there in Jonesville and Newberry, but they didn't know exactly what was going on. And her father would go to the fence when anybody would ride by on a horse and would say, "What's going on? You know, what's happening?" And so at one point in the night, he went out to look, and this little boy, Mr. McLeod, went out and stood next to him, and they could hear something, and then they realized it was the screams of women that were screaming hysterically, being taken through Newberry. And his father put his hands over his son's ears so he wouldn't have to hear the screams. And they were taking them to be lynched. And then they left the bodies up as a warning. And they had, the thousands of tourists come to Newberry from all over to see. And one of the oral histories said that, children went up and the bodies hung there all day, and they would push them back and forth like swings. And it was a event. So they cut down the bodies, and Bosie Long uncle talked him into making a deal with the sheriff, because by that time Bosie Long was really badly injured himself. And when they told him they were killing his family systematically and said they were going to continue to kill him and hang him there, that he turned himself in, and he was whisked off to Jacksonville, and eventually brought back in a special session a month later, and they had a trial where he was able to tell his side of it, which he said deputy knocked on his door, a deputy with bad reputation who'd shot many people escaping, and said that he didn't know why he pulled his gun out. Said he was getting dressed and the deputy saw he had a gun, and that's when he pulled on him, they pulled on each other. But it didn't, Bosie Long's account that he gave didn't make a difference. The jury, all white jury, went out for 7 minutes, came back, found him guilty, and he was hung in downtown Gainesville. If you've been in downtown Gainesville, and it was a big 2,000 or 3,000 people showed up, and if you know where the Hippodrome is in Gainesville, he was hung catty corner, and people stood up on the steps and all of that to see his hanging.
Let's talk about reconciliation happened there.
Oh yes, and in Newberry this was a huge secret. No one spoke about it, and everyone told me there was no point in me speaking about it. But then we had a young mayor who is local, born in Newberry and from the area, and a history teacher, and he and I started sitting on a porch in Newberry. I started talking to him about where Deputy Wynn had lived and who he was kin to. And your words were, "I've never heard about that in my life." And I said, "Well, we can do something about it." And then you could tell about how did you do it? The EJI.
Well, good morning, everybody, or afternoon, I think it is now. My name is Jordan Marlowe, and it wasn't me. It was Miss Janice here, and it was Miss Lizzie sitting over here, and I know that Joy Glanzer is here somewhere. Raise your hand, Joy. It was a community, and Rob back there got involved, and all of Newberry really came together to finally bring this history into the forefront. And I didn't know anything. I've learned more about my own hometown in the past eight years than I did the rest of my life. It has been a truly remarkable journey to take this path and to hear these stories and to learn this history. And for Newberry, I would make the argument that it has been a very unifying experience. Do you agree with that, Joy? Yeah, there was a lot of angst at the beginning. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of fear. But looking back on it now, I can't imagine a Newberry that didn't go through this process, didn't embark on this path. And we're all better for it at this point in time. And just to tie two things together that Miss Janice and Dr. Dunn have said, the city of Newberry was the first city in Alachua County to form a partnership with EJI, the Equal Justice Initiative. But EJI is really focused on lynchings. Boise Long is not on the wall in EJI. He doesn't count as a lynching because he was killed judiciously by the justice system. He had a trial, he had a lawyer, they went out for 7 minutes and then condemned him to death. But I think that's the next step. I encourage Alachua County to embark on that as the next path, because extrajudicial lynchings are one thing, and they're horrendous. Alachua County had the second highest rate of lynchings in the state of Florida, but that doesn't account for all the judicial murders that took place. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? Because I was living in Denver at the time when they had our mayor did a official apology, which no one ever thought would ever happen in Newberry, and the descendants of the families who had lived under this pall of being called thieves and criminals all these years. We had Jordan had an official apology. They met when the sign was put up at Pleasant Plain, and I was not there, the Pleasant Plain Methodist Church, and I was not there, but Tricia Hilliard-Dunn told me that the very elderly who are no longer with us, descendants came and heard, and when the mayor made the official apology, there were tears, there was a feeling of this would never happen, and it did bring so much healing, and that was the end of our very good journey.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jordan. Did you notice how smoothly we transitioned into the program? I'll take credit for that. But we're ready to start the program as planned. Melissa, would you come up for a moment, please? I know you, come on. I got to introduce you. This is the lady who was responsible for making all of the details, all the arrangements, writing the checks. I signed them, but she wrote them. Melissa Kelly is my, well, I'll let you introduce yourself. But this lady is going to help me save Rosewood. I'm counting on her. So introduce yourself just a couple of minutes, then we'll start the program. She has a cold.
You did not tell me this was going to happen. I prefer to stay in the background, but it is my pleasure to be here to be supporting Dr. Marvin Dunn in this effort. It is so important, and it warms my heart to see all of you here, to be part of this movement, to be part of this fight, to be part of advancing Rosewood's legacy in other places that also were sites of racial violence that were inspired by hatred, and we need to get these stories shared to learn from them so the past doesn't repeat itself, right? So thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to have all of you here on this sacred ground and to share in this historic moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, come on. This is my brother Ray Dunn, Dr. Raymond Dunn, who assists me in these tours and in saving this history. And he has been in charge of the tour group that just arrived. And you have some instructions for them before we go on. Go ahead.
Okay, for the bus tour group, I just learned that before you take that tour that I told you about, one group with Marvin, one group with Janice, we're going to eat first. So I need for you, Howard, your group is group 2, and the other group is group 1. After we finish eating, we're going to call for group 1 to come back together, and group 2, and then Marvin and Janice will take you on that tour.
All right. Okay. Hi, where's John? Stand over here real quick. This is John Robinson. John Robinson, and we go back at least 40 years. I won't give the history of these folks. I don't want to do that. But John Robinson is a hero in his own right. He was a person who brought up a federal lawsuit against one of the biggest orange growers in Florida for racial discrimination against him and other blacks in Martin County. And he won $34 million, right? That he won for the group, for the class, for challenging racial discrimination. But John can tell the story, and I don't want him to do that. But he also, I want also to thank John for being here, for helping to clear this property, bringing his kids in here. John was the first one to come down here consistently with me to help me make this property so that you could walk into it. When I first bought this land, if you came in as far as this tent, you couldn't find your way out. It was so overgrown. So John Robinson has been with me forever. He's also going to open the event today with a song. Is that right? Are you ready? Okay.
Hi, everybody. You know, it's good and it's an honor to be here today, especially with one of my best friends, it's Marvin Dunn. He was a psychologist for us in our case, in the historical case. I'm going to dedicate this to Mr. Dunn with all the work he's done here. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I was born by the river in a little old tent, and just like a river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, and I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes it is. See, it's been too hard living, but I'm not afraid to die, because I know who's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, and I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes it is. See, I took a ride round your city. I came all downtown. Everybody keeps telling me it's a good time to be around. It's been a long time coming, and I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes it is. Let me tell you what I've done. Then I went down to my brother, and I beg, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down upon my bending knees. Oh, every time that I thought I just couldn't last for long. But now I thank God that I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, and I know a change gon' come one day. Yes it will, I know it will. Thank you, Lord.
Good job. Thank you, John. A change is coming right now. This property is at its most beautiful when the sun's out. By the time you finish lunch, I think we're going to have a bright sunny day on this property. We're going to move on with the program as planned. I think the next, where is Janice? Janice, come forward, please, to tell these folks where they are. Janice is going to locate you in terms of this particular piece of property and its history. 5 minutes, only 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, I'll wait on you.
Yeah.
Let me know this you. Everybody, this is Janice Owens, a historian, a good friend of mine. Let's walk a little bit so we can And Janice knows the history of this area so well. And we have been connected historically in friendship for at least, I don't know, a dozen years. So she helps me understand this history, and she knows the history of this particular property. So I want her to speak to that. Thank you, Janice.
Well, I'm here to give you just a little history of this part of Levy County. And Levy County has had, we have an idea Florida wasn't here until the Americans got here, but Levy County had people living here under these woods around the springs here long before the Americans got here, before Europeans got here. And the early tribes who lived in this area were hunters and gatherers. And by the time Levy County appeared on the American maps, it was in the form of, one of the earliest is the fort out at Cedar Key. I don't know that you know that there was a U.S. fort there. And the fort was important in the Seminole War. The Seminole Indians were the remnants of all the Indians who were being run down the creek, and lots of different ethnicities that were living in Florida, running around on the peninsula. And they had their own close here down toward the Withlacoochee. There was a well-known tribal encampment, and on the other side of, if y'all went to Shiloh today, on the other side of Shiloh there was and in this area it was very active. And the Seminoles oftentimes were described as black Indians here because they were. In Florida they intermarried and with any other ethnicity that was in Florida, and they lived here. Well, the U.S. Army, when they went to war with the Seminoles to drive them out, Cedar Key was their fort. And there was already an Indian trail where we see the railroad here that comes through. The railroad was built and completed right before the Civil War. A man named David Levy had he was a rich man, and he wanted to run a railroad from one port on one side of Florida to the other, and he couldn't cross the St. Johns River, so he had to bring it down around, and it's a deep water port. So the railroad was here, and in the Civil War, that's when the U.S. troops came up and tore it up. But then it was bought again and repaired by different, it was called the Florida Railroad. That's still what people call it around here, Florida Railroad. So the Florida Railroad was built right on top of where the military rode, and there were U.S. forts, wooden forts, all around this area. You've probably heard of Fort Clark in Gainesville, and Fort King and all of, but there were many small forts, Fort Fanning, that, and the soldiers, we had letters in the archives of soldiers who would come up right here, and they were on patrol, and that was the history then. When the Florida Railroad, when the next thing that came to Florida that made money, there were truck farmers and there were turpentine mills, but when they started cutting the trees here, first they cut the cedar for pencils, they sold that right down at Cedar Key, but then they started cutting the yellow pine, which we have yellow pine on the property, the big yellow pine, and it's the pine that rebuilt the South after the Civil War, and the lumber companies came in, and that's when Rosewood, the Rosewood we're talking about, when the town was here, many of the people worked as teamsters and worked in sawmills or as teamsters, doing wagons. It was all connected, but there was still a remnant of people who owned their land who were still trappers in the Gulf hammock, because you could make a lot of money selling deer skin and all kinds of skins you could get here. So that was the area of the lumber had been, notice there aren't a lot of red cedar trees here on this property because they were cut over so thoroughly, but that was coming to an end when Rosewood in 1923, but there was an established community here. There was a school, there was a Masonic lodge, there was a baseball team, and this was Rosewood.
How about the Ford Hotel? Very briefly.
Oh, yes, and at one point, the Ford Hotel around the Springs, some of the group has already done the tour, but there is a Springs that is still there, even in a drought. It's holding water, even as bigger droughts we've had. And between it and the railroad, there was a hotel that was built. It looked like a Queen Anne house. It was a 2-story, looked like a big house. And it was the Ford Hotel. It was first built as a, for people up north, you know, you could get train tickets cheaply to come down from New York, and you came, and partly it came from different ways here. And if you had tuberculosis or you had something up north, the cold weather, you would come here to take in the waters, you know, and sit in the sun. Didn't last long because we also had malaria and yellow fever. You know, it didn't turn out to be as healthy as one might hope. But a lot of these small hotels were built in this county, and that hotel stayed there. And then when the lumber was being built, the lumbermen would stay there, and people in hunting parties would come and stay here because the Gulf hammock, it was so rich and huge. So they would come and stay at the hotel. Eventually, the hotel, the Bradley family bought it, and if you read in oral history, often they'll say, well, they lived in the biggest house in town. They lived in a mansion. They had it was the old Ford Hotel.
Thank you. She mentioned the Bradley family. The way the Rosewood story emerged was because Ed Bradley, CBS News, remember him? Did a program on Rosewood. Rosewood was unheard of before Bradley really came forward with that program. And the Bradley family was one of the most established families here in Rosewood. They ran the sugar mill, and they did very, very well. But I want you to hear the Rosewood story from the person here most qualified to tell it. The person here who saved a lot of this history long before I even got involved in it. And that's Lizzie Jenkins. Lizzie, would you come up now, please? If you would, please take these 10 minutes and use them any way you wish, except cussing.
Except what?
Cussing.
I'm real good at cussing. But I get my point across, okay? That's who I am. But anyway, my name is Lizzie Robinson. Lizzie Polly Robinson Brown Jenkins. You will hear that on my podcast. I do a podcast weekly at Steve Spurrier Gridiron Grill. I didn't come up here to talk about that, but sometimes you have to brag a little. I've earned it. My aunt was the school teacher here in Rosewood from 1915 to 1923. It wasn't easy after the massacre, but before the massacre, Rosewood was a progressing town. It wasn't rich. It was not a Tulsa. It wasn't rich because many of the people here did not own their property. Not even my aunt, making $25 a month, rented from John Wright, and many other people rented from John Wright. I've done the research, but I'm going to back up and let you know that I have a board here. And George Marlowe is on my board. Hi, Joy. Joy Glanzer. I don't know if Pedro is here or not, but all the way from Miami, my dear special friend is my project manager on my Rosewood board, and her name is Kimberly Joy Green. Give it up for Kimberly. She is a dear special friend. I have a lot on here. I'm not going to say it, 10 minutes. So I do want you to know that Sheriff Bob Walker was something else. Had it not been for the sheriff, many of the survivors would have perished. But because he and the Levy County white men, my unsung heroes, worked behind the scene and helped the sheriff get the people out of Rosewood when the mob came in, the KKK, who had met on December 22nd, 1922, downtown, okay, at the square, because they would always come in and and do a hate conference. So they heard about what had happened in Rosewood. They came to Rosewood, their biggest mistake, because people don't know it. They got their butts whipped. Okay, that's the part they don't tell. That's the part they say, oh, we burned the town down. But who did you burn? You burned the people that you didn't want us to know that were fended off or fought off by Sylvester Carrier. You don't know Sylvester, he was a bad mamma jamma. He didn't take any mess. Why was he so angry? Because he did not. Now let me say, you just talked about the people coming from New York, but do you know why they came to Rosewood? Rosewood was a partying town. They came there to party, and the women would wear a red slip.
Back this way.
And sorry, sorry, to let people know that they are in town to party. So there was a lot going on in Rosewood. But people loved Rosewood. There was no Rosewood in 1855 when Rosewood population was 50. Okay, in 1848, I found my great-great-grandfather in Cedar Key. Okay, he lived a long time. He was given 159 acres of property. Your family were too. If you didn't research it, you don't know it. And Joy, not Joy, what's your name? Janice, and I know Janice very well, but it's called age. I forgot. Janice and I are good friends. But I forgot. But I'm going to close this because I only have 10 minutes. My mom, you know, black people back then told history through song. Okay, Mr. Robinson just sang, I am a Robinson, but I was not gifted with that voice. But I want you to listen to my words and hopefully you will understand it. And let me tell you, let me tell one more thing, Mr. Dunn, about my Uncle Aaron. My aunt was gang raped. Okay, I have a letter here. When she left Gainesville, she moved to Jacksonville, moved 3 different times running from the people. She worked for a doctor. This is a letter that she wrote to the doctor, and they wrote her back. She was requesting strychnine. They sent her the strychnine and said, Gussie, if you have high blood pressure, drink lots of water. She died in 2 years after she got the strychnine. I live this story every day, 24/7, and it is so painful. It hurts so much. I didn't want to do it. My mother didn't give me an opportunity. You will do it. If I was younger, she said I would do it. I wanted to tell her to do it. I did it, and I still do it today. I'm happy because I am a part of history, because I got to meet you today. And I know you're here because you're interested in history, and if we don't get out there and work together and make a difference, not good news. Okay, I'm almost through. That's it. Oh, the most thing I'm proudest about, the historical marker. That was something else. And he told me not to cuss because he knows I'm a cusser. I called Jeb Bush office 3 times trying to get that historical marker. They lied to me. I called back 3 weeks later, told me a lie. The third time I called, well, okay, Mrs. J, but why did they put me through so much stress before they said, okay, we'll do it? And I was kind enough to invite Jeb Bush down here to be my speaker. He did an excellent job, brought Florida A&M choir with them. But still, I was put through. One more thing.
Go ahead.
I've forgotten. But anyway, I'm going to sing this song. Tina Turner? Whitney Houston? No way. But it does tell the story, and you are going to feel it. I've got to tell you this. I went to a funeral in 1986, 82 in Hilliard. When I left Hilliard, I came back through Bryceville. I said, I got to stop here. Because I knew it was the Bryce brothers who drove the train and drove the people out of Rosewood. And I went into a little mom and pop store. I said, Oh, and no blacks live there. All of the times I've been to, no blacks live, but I'm bold. And I said to the man, I said, I'm looking for the Bryce brothers. Do you know the Bryce? Yeah, they live right back there. And I went, knocked on the door, all white, and I heard little footsteps. And this little white girl opened the door and saw this black face and slammed the door. However, I heard her going back to the room, and then I heard some adult feet coming in. She opened the door. I said, ma'am, my name is Lizzie Jenkins. I'm from Archer, Florida. My aunt taught school in Rosewood. She opened that door, grabbed me and hugged me. She said, baby, come on in. I have been looking for you and waiting for somebody to come to me for years. My grandmother died years ago. She knew everything about Rosewood. I don't know a thing, but I have some pictures and documents you can have. And I want you to know that I have kept up and followed all of the white descendants. They let me know they're descendants too of Rosewood. And today we have with us the Bryce brothers, great nieces and nephews, not nieces. Will y'all raise your hand and stand, please? They drove all the way down here. They heard about it. They drove down because they are very interested in history. And I promise you I don't have another story. But I do want you to know that I talk often to Chef Bob Walker's granddaughter in Houston, Texas. She's coming down too. Oh, and by the way, I'm doing a telethon. I got to let you all know this because I want you to be a part of the telethon. You remember the Jerry Lewis telethon? We got it going on, y'all. We got to keep Rosewood active, alive, so the world will know who we are. And by the way, Mr. Robinson said he was born in a tent. I was not born in a tent, but on that poster over there, you can see where I was born. It's a shotgun house. But it was like a mansion. We had everything we needed, which was L-O-V-E. Mama and a daddy. Okay, Rosewood, Florida. My mother wrote this song for me. And I need some water or something. That's my water right there. And this is, don't tell me, Janet's daughter. I interviewed her on my podcast. Thank you. Rosewood, Florida, woo! Rosewood, Florida, borders Highway 24. A destroyed town, no blacks live there anymore. I told you I couldn't sing. Where emptiness resides in the silent sacred breeze. Life there no more, only nature's moss-hung trees. Rosewood, Florida, once a growing community, linked with chains of love and family unity. Families were linked with wholesome friendship, and each link represented a special kinship. In this productive southern town of Rosewood, here the families bonded and they understood each other's lives in their unique neighborhood. Lordy, 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 Rosewood used to be real good until the little old sleazy woman with the cheating heart triggered the Rosewood Massacre, and the colored had to depart. They ran for their lives in the middle of the night. They'd heard a mob was coming to start a hideous fight. Run, 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 run on for your life. Hide anywhere, just try to survive. Children followed their leaders with fear in their souls and almost froze to death because it was so cold. They were told not to move by the ones in charge, but trying to keep silent was awfully hard. Messages were sent to them by Sheriff Bob Walker. Listen out for John Wright, the designated talker. The Cedar Key train conductors were told to pick up in Rosewood. Standing by the tracks with the lantern, its young school teacher stood, waiting in desperation to carry out the sheriff's plans, rounding up the hidden survivors to board the midnight train. The sheriff and the store owner worked around the clock, informed the train conductors just when and where to stop, pick up the men, women, and children who were hiding out, and send them to Archie, Florida, traveling the same old route. Bob Walker and John Wright took on a daring risk. Have I said that? No. Okay. You see how professional I am. Bob Walker and John Wright took on a daring risk. Put the survivors on the train, Lord, and sent them off with a kiss. Notified the Gainesville families to be on the lookout for their kin. Told them the train was a-coming and told them exactly when. Waldo Stark, Lord T. Maxville, the train kept chugging along. Baldwin, Callahan, K-Town, Bryceville would soon become their home. The Fantail lie had ruined their lives, and her story didn't set too well. And deep down within each survivor's heart, they knew that one day they would have a story to tell about Rosewood, Florida, once a growing community. Something else. Until the fighting started in 1923, no one ever thought Rosewood would go down in death. That brought on so much painful shame and unforgettable distress. County-wide shame, statewide shame, worldwide shame, that brought on so much painful shame. Oh Lord, that's the best thing I said. Thank you all very much. And this song is dedicated to Janie Bradley in 1955. Janie Bradley, Gretchen Douglas, what's her doctor, what's her name? What's her name, y'all? She was a going. Annette Glowing and myself wrote the first foundation, which is called the Rosewood Heritage Foundation. So, as Roland Ray says, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, yeah, Janie Bradley, people live in Cedar Key. I'm sorry, Otter Creek. We were talking last night. She may look sick, but she blew my mind last night. She remembered everything. I said, Jeannie, you remember that? Come on, sure, there's nothing wrong with my mind. So this is my good friend, Jeannie.
Greg, don't go that. Come on, Greg. Your son, Greg. No. Stand by your mom.
Yes, sir. How you guys?
I'm gonna sit down. We're both old folks. This is a treasure. You all may not be able to see it, but stand up if you can. Janie, anything you want to say about anything, here it is.
Well, for one, we are glad to have been asked to come and share with you whatever I have learned, whatever I know, whatever I see, and all the things that I hear. We been in this world for so long that sometimes the kids have to correct me on how old I am by the year that I was born. But it doesn't matter, I'm still here. That's the important thing. God saw something in me that he wanted to have me to be, one that he could put his trust in and share with the people that I love about his coming again. I used to sit and watch some of the people that are still here. Some I still have to ask, what did you say your name was? Okay. So it's okay to forget the name. You don't remember to know everything, because if you did, you wouldn't be here. So many of my people have been here when I was young that I cry at night. I do that a lot, only because of memories. Not because they were angry, mean, or anything of that nature, but it was they're not here any longer that I could touch, talk to. And my kids tell me, say, Mama, you should stop talking, but it's a habit that I cannot break. I came up in Miami called Coconut Grove. Of course, some of you remember where it is. It was 3623 Oak Avenue. How could I forget when the Bells lived in a three-story building on the corner? That's a house you didn't forget anything about. You would be glad to reach that far because of the people that lived there. Everybody treated you as you were brought up. My grandfather would always say, don't be afraid to say what it is on your mind. Say it. They can believe you or not. I believe you, and that makes me happy. We did a lot of things together as children coming up. And I thought, oh, with Miss Bell on the corner, Miss Lizzie in the middle, and the brothers not too far away. We must own all the houses in the Grove. No, we didn't own them all, but people gave us the respect that we gained coming up and knowing how to treat them. My grandmother would sit on the porch. He'd have his walking cane on one end of the rocking chair. He would have the machete on the other side. That means that's danger. And anything that if he was sitting there and he would grunt, that means keep walking, don't stop. He didn't do it to frighten you off, but he let you know that you're getting too close to my girls. And he had 8 of them in the house at one time.
I'm gonna ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you, Janie, to save Rosewood history? What does that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. As a girl, I used to run up and down the railroad track or down the road, and I could tell when I got to Aunt Sarah's house, Miss Flora's house, even to the big house that's sitting in the corner. And I loved looking in that tree, in that creek. It would have something to say, but you didn't know what it was saying. And you could hear the children laughing, always be happy to see them there. And I would always wonder, well, what if this town will be if it was as it is now, or will it get any better? And something would say, you just wait around and you'll see. I always said the first would be last and the last would be first. I will pay every man according to his work. And I don't know if I've gotten my last favor or am I working on another side, but I am still happy that I'm in Rosewood whenever I can come. We would come during the summertime. First of all, it would be like in July, my grandfather would be off from the railroad or whatever job that he had, and he would always bring us into Rosewood. And I would always wonder, well, what is it about that place that makes him so happy? I sure want to be there. As a girl, I could never remember my grandfather telling me a lie. I don't know about the other kids, but I'm one of the first of the 8 girls, and naturally that would mean something to me. Not that it made me any more than any of the others, but my grandfather took a lot of time to sit me down next to him in that rocking chair. And he said, little girl, come here. It's something I want you to always remember. Who you are, who you belong to, and what you're going to be. Remember who you are, first of all, because you're mine. And you must always remember where you came from. And he always taught me that I came from Elsie. I passed that little church so fast.
Right down the road here?
Right down,
The first
yeah.
mile. Why did you tell you came from there?
I don't know. There was something about it that he must always wanted me to remember. I do remember many times coming to by that church, close to it, and you'd always see a crowd there. The people were eating. They were gathered with their horse, cow, mule, whatever, and they would always, have them in contact, but they made such a mess that I was so glad that when they left, they were gone. So it didn't make me any difference.
Go ahead.
I would always know where the cow was, or what was the next animal that's gonna be. There were their cows, and they would have their horses tied, and why do they keep them tied if they're so animals? But anyway, as I grew up, I learned that the more attention that you would give to them, the better they would be. And then I thought about that as I grew up, what happened to that old Sally? She always moved. But you grow up and you learn that you have to wait until the traffic clear for them to cross the street. Now that was very, very bad to me. The young ones would have to wait for the cows to cross the street or whatever they were herding on that particular time or day. And once it's clear, you can go on about your business. So
I'll stop you now because I really have a lot of stories to tell. Last thing I want to speak to though, looking out at all these people. Just tell us what you think seeing all these folks here today.
But it shows that Rosewood meant something to a lot of these people. Maybe they haven't shared it yet. But I have a lot of things that I could remember happening or doing and watching to see. And things have changed a lot. My kids used to come here in the summertime and spend time with my dad. He was a farmer.
I gotta stop you now because you just go on and on. I will speak again if you will, because these folks, I think, want to know you have authenticity that none of us have. What I'm trying to get at with you is the feeling looking out across this crowd today. Just that. How do you feel looking at this group assembled here today in your childhood home? How do you feel about that today?
It makes me feel happy because as a little girl, I could play in the yard, come up, and people may not know that pecans grow in the yard. You could get some pecan or go out and get your plums, and nobody would ever say anything about what you're doing there, or they would even have them raked up, and all you had to do was to put them in a pan. Many of my
going back home. But before she leaves, with Greg, who's a member of my board, another board member, listen, was Duncan here? I forget to introduce him.
Yeah.
Where are you? Another board member who helped pay the bill today. Is this Greg? But this is a treasure. Someone who can sit with us and talk about being here as a child. So let's give Jamie a hand. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, okay. The folks from, yeah, okay, all right. Come on in, come on in. Both of you gonna speak?
Yes.
All right, all right.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me? Too close. All righty. Good afternoon. I will recite for you a poem entitled The Rosewood Story. In Rosewood, January 1st, 1923, stood a village deep in the Swanee River swamps, our own black community. There was a school, a church, a black fraternal lodge hall, a sugar mill, a turpentine still, and a store. Population 150 or more. A shattering scream came like a dream. I'll just call her Fanny Magdalene. A white woman cried to her friend so loud, I know he was black, and that's a fact. That one statement drew the crowd. Can you imagine how she said, the black man took my money and fled? Well, let me tell you instead how my family said it happened. Fanny's white lover is the one who fled, taking her money and slapping her aside the head. Blood boiled, anger brewed as Fanny's story was told her way. Many lives had to pay. A bloody massacre commenced, they say. Beatings, hangings, burning, running until the seventh day. Sympathetic whites hit our families by night. Give up, they said. You can't win this fight. Soldiers guarded our families as the train pulled in, bearing the burden of Fanny's unforgotten sin. 7 days left a vanished town. History buried all around. For 64 years, Rosewood was kept a secret. No one talked, black nor white. Neither wanted to start that fight. Since July 1985, our families meet yearly to show love and unity dearly. With God on our side and a great sense of pride, we have met in Washington, D.C. in July 93. Then we stood in 94 in the presence of Florida's great legislators and more. Yes, We stand strong, proud, and free, for we are the Rosewood family. I have recited for you the Rosewood story written by my late grandmother, Altamise Rispus. Greetings. My name is Bené Denson. I currently serve as the Rosewood Family Reunion and Corporation President. I do have members of our organization here with us today. Will all of the Rosewood family members please stand, wave your hand, let everyone see you. Our organization is comprised of about 200 direct Rosewood descendants, direct through paternal bloodline, meaning either our parent, grandparent, great-grandparent, great-great-grandparent, and so on. Someone in that line lived in Rosewood and was affected by the Rosewood Massacre. Since 1985, our families have been coming together to celebrate love, to celebrate our legacy, to support each other. And the reunion was founded by Annie Bell Lee. Her, along with other Rosewood family, they decided that this was good for us to no longer be in hiding, no longer hide our story. There are 8 families that come together. The Bradley family. Bradley members, do we have any Bradley family with us today? See their hands. The Carrier family, Carrier members. The Coleman family. The Edwards family. The Evans family. Goins family. The Hall family. The Robinson family, and the Coleman family. Those 8 families come together every year since 1985, like I said, to show our love, to show our unity, to celebrate each other and our legacy. The Rosewood Family Reunion Incorporated have a family reunion every year. We also are open to our friends, family, extended family, and those warriors of social justice. You all are celebrated with us in this fight against, trying to not tell the story. We have to tell the story. We have to remember these things. We have to remember that there are those who are always on the right side of justice, on the right side of history. We thank you, our allies. We thank the family of the Bryce brothers. We thank the family of John Wright. We thank the family of Sheriff Walker. Without allies, our family would not have been able to accomplish what we did. And we thank you. You all are also descendants of Rosewood. Thank you.
She forgot to tell you she's a Rosewood movie star.
Okay, he would like me to tell you that the Warner Brothers picture Rosewood that came out, directed by John Singleton in 1997. I did play a small role in that movie. I played the role of Philomena. She was a cousin of mine. I did know her in real life. Philomena was actually the character who worked with her grandmother in Fannie Taylor's house.
Right.
I do have 2 members of the Carrier family will quickly share with you their expressions.
This is Pete.
Come on,
This side, I'm sorry, okay. Okay. Man, Dr. Dunn was right. It is just so beautiful out here. The sun is shining.
Speak up a little louder.
Yeah, a little louder.
The sun is shining. It's so beautiful out here. Dr. Dunn was right. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. First, I just want to thank you, Dr. Marvin Dunn, for your just relentless commitment to the conservation of Black history and your passion for advocating for our stories. But my name is Darche Spells. I am a 5th generation descendant of the Carrier family here in Rosewood. And I'll just talk a bit about what this means to me and what I'm going to do moving forward now that I know that we have a park. So I was negative, like 6 or 7 when we got the reparations. I was born in 2000, so. But I grew up just going to the family reunions. I remember we had one in Tampa, and I didn't really understand what was going on. I just knew I was told we were going to church and this is what's happening.
But as I got older, I remember I was in high school and we would talk about, going to college and where am I going to go and what's going to happen. And I remember my grandmother would tell me, she was like, well, honey, you don't have to pay for school. And I would go, well, why? What do you mean I don't have to pay for school? And that's when she really honed in on the story and what it really meant. And even in that moment, I don't think I really realized how that was applicable to what my life was, how I would construct my life. And I remember when I got to college, I went to FAMU. Shout out Rattlers. If you were a Rattler, shout out to you. All right. And I remember I got my Pell Grant. I remember I was essentially getting paid to go to school. And I was like, man, like this is crazy. Like this is the best thing ever. And then I think that not having the payment of paying for college, allowed me the flexibility to start my own business. I have a media production company, marketing strategy company, and at the time I started with just photography, and it not having to pay for college allowed me to get my own brick and mortar when I was 19. I had a studio right down the street from FAMU, right there on Rosewood Avenue, and I would take pictures and I would support the organizations on school. COVID happened when I was in college, so I ended up moving to Los Angeles because I've always wanted to be an actor. So I moved to Los Angeles in 2022. I got my second brick and mortar in downtown Los Angeles, and it really wasn't until I met my very good colleague and co-founder of my business. His name is Prince Michael Jett. He's actually a descendant of the Roebuck family from Sears and Roebuck. He's also from the oldest self-governing town in Lincoln Heights, Ohio. And I met him, and he is the one that really honed in on me, like what it really means now that I'm an adult. At this point, I'm like 23. And what it means, like, to be a Rosewood, like the equity that the name carrier carries. And I remember he told me that his grandma made him watch the movies to understand the reason why, like, that stereotype that the black men shouldn't talk to white women because of stuff like this. And I started leading with that more, and when I introduced myself, and so many more opportunities came to me when I started being more proud, having more pride about my legacy and my lineage. And as of now, right now, what I've done is last year I soft launched a nonprofit called Rosewood 23 Productions. It's a media production company. And what we do is we amplify Black stories and we advance Black futures. So what that means is I have a whole board of people that I've created to create original productions, a documentary, talking heads, just stuff to keep our story alive. But we'll also partner with people like the Minority Supplier Development Council to get people Black-owned certified and get them coaching and get them, education so that they can build their own equity. Because oh my goodness, it's so awesome to go to school or go to college, and that's fine by the system. But we have a town, you know what I'm saying? It's bigger than that. It's bigger. It's about creating real equity, true Black equity, and being able to create generational wealth and equity to disperse for generations to come. So, no, you're fine because I'm done. But so I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I will be going around just collecting contacts with people to continue to support and grow with me as I continue my journey. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Smith Williams. I am the granddaughter of Minnie Lee Langley. During Rosewood, she was named Minnie Lee Mitchell. My grandmother, I'm just share a little bit about my grandmother. Growing up, the impact that it had on us, she was, to us, she was very quiet. She was very quiet, but very humble. And we thought of her as being kind of mean grandmother compared to other grandmothers because she wasn't bubbly like everybody else. And we didn't know why. She would tell us stay away from the windows and different things like that. And she made sure we knew that white people were crackers. Everybody that ever read the book knows that. That's just how she referred. And I didn't know until today that they weren't all bad. I just knew that growing up, I never saw any bad white people. I wasn't never exposed to any racial conflict of any kind. But I knew that my grandmother had something going on with her, and we never could understand it. But deep down, we knew that she was really a sweet, humble person. But after I found out about Rosewood, I wasn't ever the type person that liked to see, you know, racial conflict and things. I kind of stayed away from roots, even when I had to read it in school, things like that, because it just left me a bad feeling in my heart. So it took a long time for me to watch Rosewood. And when I did watch it and realized that that's my family, it kind of affected me a different kind of way. It didn't affect me negatively, but it made me more aware of what's really going on in my own backyard. And I don't think a lot of us realize that. Any race realize what's going on right in our own backyard. So I can really appreciate the park. I can really appreciate the knowledge of Black history that's going on here, not only of Rosewood, but of so many other different things that's going on, so much other Black history that's going on in the world. I can appreciate that. I really rally around my Rosewood family. And now that once I learned, and my grandmother passed in '96, I wasn't very in tune with everything as I am now. She passed in '95, and I wasn't really in tune with things. I know that she was gone. She testified down in Tallahassee. I know that she played an important part about the Rosewood rights the story being revealed. I know a lot of different things, but I had a whole lot of things going on. I was young, and even at her funeral, I remember when the producer was there, and I didn't even know who he was, and I was asking my cousin, like, who is that? You know, they had to tell me who was there. The funeral was crowded. There were news people and all kind of reporters and I just didn't know what was going on. But once I realized what was really happening, it made me realize how little we know about our own heritage, how little we know about our own families. You know, and my grandmother, the little girl Minnie that at the end of the movie ran when she heard the bells ringing, and that was a 9-year-old girl. But how many 9-year-olds really don't know what's going on in their families and really know the heritage of their families? We can go to 23andMe all day long, but do you sit down and talk to your children? Do they know their past? Do they know your past? I understand that all the Rosewoodians, they were very nervous, they were upset, they were afraid to speak, because just like they fled, the white people fled, and a lot of them fled to the same cities. So they couldn't say anything because they had seen so many terrible things that happened, and they were already traumatized. But they had dreams. They had things that they wanted to grow up and do. They had things that they wanted their children to grow up and be. They had families that they wanted to raise. But those things were cut short. And I think that it's important that people know that they understand what happened in our past so we can better deal with our present. Because a lot of times people don't understand why people act like they do, why they say what they say, they speak like they speak. I could never understand why my grandmother spoke like she did. But once I knew the story, we only know where we're going if we know where we come from. And I am Rosewood. Everybody that shares this story or shares this blood, they are Rosewood. And we need to all be very instrumental in what we do concerning not just Rosewood, but any Black history or any families that we are connected to, and let people know where we're from and what we're about so that they'll know what their history is, and they don't have to go to 23andMe.
Thank you. That's all for the program, right? I don't have anything else. Okay. John? Yes. Okay, yeah. I'll have one to come on last. There's a gentleman from... I'm going to have Wendell come up, please. This is Wendell Owens, my friend, another cracker. We got to get past that cracker crap. This is my friend. This man cleared this property. All what you're seeing here today, Wendell does it. He takes care of this property for me. You won't let me pay him. I have to make him take money. So Wendell is going to talk for a couple of minutes. Not short. Very short. Here you go, Wendell. Janice is up.
So, first of all, Janice, Melissa, Julian, Raymond, and Marvin, please come up here. What I need to do? How's this? Is this okay? All right, everybody's gonna line up here. This, folks, is the team that has put this event together. Dr. Dunn, his brother Raymond, Julian. Look at how young Julian is. And We love it. And then there's Melissa and my wonderful, beautiful wife, Janice. And folks, I'm a soldier. I don't do what these people do. I do I do the stuff that takes your hands to do. So we need visionaries. We need people like this. We need people like these families that spoke to keep the story alive. And let me tell you, folks, truth wins. You can keep the lies all you want. You can tell them in Washington. You can tell them wherever you are. You can tell the lies, but the truth is going to win. And that's why we're here today, folks, because we're celebrating the truth. So Dr. Dunn asked me to take a tree, and it's leaning up right over here behind the food. There's a tree leaning up, and it was out here on the railroad embankment. And it's a rosewood tree. And I cut it up into a lot of little 5-inch pieces, and those pieces are over there if somebody wants a little memorial to take with them for Rosewood. But what I did, and folks, I ordered the nameplates late, so the nameplates didn't come. So what I did is I took some of that tree, and I turned it into a little desk nameplate, and I'll have a brass plate to put on it. So I'm going to give one of these to each of my lovely friends.
Yeah,
and
just want to see my help.
There's, oh, wait a minute. No, that's not true. This is, please, you take that and I'll hold this. So Janice, thank you it says Julian, and that's Julian. Julian, thank you so much for your service. We love you. Janice, thank you so much for your service. This is the team, folks, and I'm going to tell you about the food in a minute, so don't go away when I get done. Melissa Kelly, where are you? You wonderful, beautiful woman. Thank you so much. Raymond Dunn. You are the man. And I'm going to get them. I got to get them back from you. I got to put the plates on them, but I'll do that. And Mr. Marvin Dunn. So this team, folks, made it possible for your story to be told. You keep telling it. And God bless all of you. We're going to eat in just a second. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start over here at the water where you got the, see that beautiful Gator cooler over there? Oh, yeah, I like that Gator cooler. See that Gator cooler over there? You don't have to drink water out of it. There's other coolers. But anyhow, we're going to start there, and we're going to make our way around the bend there, and we're going to serve you. We're going to serve everybody here. We want everybody to enjoy. It ain't Thanksgiving, so you may not get as much as you probably could eat. And but we want to give you plenty of food to eat. So we've got, what's that? Oh, so if you have a wristband, we're going to serve you folks. All those have a wristband. If you paid your $25, we want you to eat. For everybody else, we're going to, if there's stuff left over, we want you to participate as well. But we want those other folks to be first, and they're going to form the line behind Dr. Dunn and his team, who's going to go through first. So you're going to follow this team right over to the food, and I think that covers everything, right? Thanks for coming. We got some tours this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you all. We're done. We're going to have Janice and I are going to do a walking tour of the property. I'm going to walk the railroad track. Janice is going to walk you all back to where the hotel was. The folks who came in on the tour, we'll let y'all have more details, but y'all should eat first. So some of these folks have already done the tour. So, tour folks, please go and start. Tour bus folks. Wendell, will you lead the way you want them to go? Wendell's going to lead you all where he wants y'all to go. Show them where you want them to go. Okay. Follow him.
Follow me, folks.
For lunch, if you got your lunch band.
Put your thing in there so I can get your name plate. Yes, ma'am.
Take one home.
Oh, you don't.
Lunch folks, follow Wendell if you have your lunch band.
Oh, and I made you a sweet potato pie. You better get it for God.
Oh, what is it? I'm going to take.
or forever hold your peace. There's a line where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now or forever hold your peace. There's a line where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Oh, you said you saw it. You heard, come on. When? Huh? Oh my goodness. Wow, that's good. Especially in the center. That's why you're doing all this crazy stuff. Oh yeah, Randy. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he's very popular. He's very popular. All right, man, you can try to get me on the feet, man. No, I ain't in no hurry. I've been waiting a long time. They got me about, they got you on the line. I'm gonna be the last person today. You know, I'm the last person. I ain't worried about it. Yeah, I don't worry about it. Unless I come on your house and get a book fight. With all that money on it. Oh yeah. Plus, I'm gonna find me one of them. Find me one of them. Well, you got a story to tell, don't you?
I do.
Totally do.
I do.
That's good. I like that.
Thank you.
All right, please, brother, please.
I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace.
No, where? Skeleton? Where? Where's Skeleton? I was going Skeleton. Where's Skeleton?
There's a line where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. There's a line where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. There's a line where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. There's a lie.